Hiya, I'm going to show you this makeup look from scratch today, and I've also gone into lots of detail about how to apply false lashes. So if you're wanting to try them for the first time or you always struggle to get them on, this will hopefully be for you. You might be surprised to hear it's the MAC Cruella collection I'm wearing today. It looks quite theatrical when you first open it, but it's really fresh and pretty, so I hope you enjoy. As always, everything I've used is listed in the description, so if you click to make the video full screen, the title will come up along the top, click the arrow next to it and a full list of everything will drop down. Okay, to start, I'm going to go in with the Laura Mercier Perfecting Primer. Now, I don't always wear primers, but yesterday I used this in a video and I have to admit I noticed a difference in how my makeup wore through the day. I'm going to go in with the CC cream today, and one of the reasons I think things can crease is if you've got a little bit more on than you need, or if you haven't set it with a little bit of powder. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this in a nice wash all over. I've got just a little bit less than one pump on my hand today, and I'm going to see how much coverage this gives me. And look at this, that was less than one pump, and actually I feel like that's more than enough coverage for me today. Now, next, in the name of keeping things as light in terms of portion size, if you like, I'm going to go in with a little bit of the Bye Bye Under Eye Concealer. Now, I'm going to take this right the way across the lids. This is going to act as my primer, as well as just knocking out a little bit of discoloration on those lids. And I'm just going to soften that out with the larger end of the brush to make it really as well blended as possible, because what I would say about Bye Bye Under Eye Concealer, it's definitely one of those products that can really go wrong if you don't go really sheer with it, or, you know, if you poke yourself in the eye with it like I've just done. But like, all jokes aside, now that I do appear to have, you know, recovered from my own moment of sabotage there, it's a very, very dense pigmented formula. So if you want coverage, it's absolutely brilliant. If you haven't warmed it up, if you've put a lot of it on, it will feel too heavy. And honestly, reducing the amount you use of this to like a fraction of what you would usually use often is the thing that makes you think, oh my gosh, I absolutely love this. Okay, first up from the Cruella collection, I'll just show you the two of them actually. How clever is that? They've basically taken some of the most loved hero brushes and given them that little Cruella twist. I'm going to use the 129S powder brush, and I'm going to powder this whole thing. Now, Shell, a little bit of powder just means that, you know, the nature of creams is that they're going to move around a bit because they're supple. And I would say that to you in terms of your foundation, your concealers, cream blushes, cream powders. Everything is designed to, you know, the creamy consistency is likely to run around a little. But if you seal it with some powder, you're giving it more of a matte kind of finish that means that it's more likely to stay where you've put it. And what I would say is the powder will set it. Oh, can you see that? The sun's just gone in. The powder will set it wherever it is at the time that you powder. So for example, if you leave your concealer for 10 minutes before you put your powder on, it may have already sunken into those little lines, and then the powder in by that point is setting it into those lines. Does that make sense? So I would also say, just before you put any of your powder on, just smooth it out of any little lines. We all get that. And then powder it, and you're locking it in where you want it to be rather than where it is at this current time. I think I've said this to you before, but like where I sit, I'm overlooking the garden. So the sun keeps coming in and out. I can't fully see what I'm doing, so you'll have to forgive me if this makeup goes all over the place. Okay, I'm just going to finish the complexion a little bit. I'm going to take, I couldn't open this yesterday and I can't open it today, the Victoria Beckham bronzing brick, hopefully. There we go. It's a lovely kind of two-part bronzer. I'm just going to take a sweep of the two of them together on a nice large brush so that I'm picking up enough to give me a general wash rather than it looking like a contour or anything too localised. Now, I'm going to go in with my Brow Power pencil. Christine, you'd asked me this week, when you're using like a brow wax, which should go first, the pencil or the wax? Now, great question. I'm going to go in with the Collection Brow Wax after this to show you. I mean, I think it depends on what you're using underneath. So for example, because I'm using a pencil, I don't think this will stick as well on top of a wax. So I'm going to put this on first and then put the wax over the top. However, if I were to use, and I think I've got it next door, so if I have, I'll do this for you as well, Christine. If I were to use like a little felt tip brow thing, like the Glossier brow, I can't think of the name of it, but it's a little felt tip. I've seen lots of videos of people sealing their brows into the shape that they want with the wax and then putting that little felt tip on top. So moral of the story is, I think let's have a little play with a few options and leave it with me, Christine. We'll work through a few of them. Okay, next I'm going to go in with a little bit of blusher and highlighter. This is a little duo from the Cruella collection. You've got this gorgeous kind of soft gold luminizer and then a really hot pink blush, which will go quite nicely with this hoodie. I'm going to take the small brush. I'm going to start with the lightest shade, which is the highlighter. And I'm first of all going to wash this through the tops of the cheeks and generally a little bit around the complexion, wherever I want to add, a bit of concealer in there, a little bit of luminosity. And I've also swept a little bit of this across the lids, just so that that brow bone is really nice and well lit as well. Now, because that's such a hot pink, I'm really gently pressing it over the highlighter so that we get this quite luminous flush as opposed to, you know, something that feels a bit overwhelming. Okay, really lovely double-ended liner. You've got a classic black and a white, which obviously is very Cruella, but also really lovely because they're two colours you're going to utilise a lot. First of all, I'm going to take the white through the waterline. Then I'm going to take some of these eyeshadows. How lovely is this palette? Because, I mean, that is the most unusual thing I think I've ever seen in an eyeshadow palette. I'm going to stick with this little plum and tan. And first of all, oh no, I beg your pardon. I was going in with my brushes. No. First of all, I'm going to take that slightly soft brown. It's more of like a beige actually. I'm going to take this through the socket. Now this may be a bit too fair for me, but let's see how we go. And then I'm going to take the same brush with this slightly plummy colour, but I'm going to take it on its side rather than forward on and almost swipe this across the lid. Now I'm going to take a clean brush and just blur the edge between the plum and the brown. A smaller detail brush, this is one of the ones from Zara, and I'm going to take this underneath the lash line, and actually this step is where you'll see that white really pop. Now Tracy, you wanted some more false lash tips after last night's video. There are some Cruella lashes in this collection, so I'm going to go for it. The first thing I'd say is if you take a liner on the upper lash line, let's just say you did put your lashes on a little bit skewy or something went wrong, you're not going to be able to tell. So first of all, I'm going to add some black liner. Okay, next I'm going to go in with loads of mascara. This is the Victoria Beckham Future Lash. Can I just say about this, it's a tubing mascara. It's really easy to remove. If you want something that will literally just crumble away with a bit of warm water, it's fantastic. I know all tubing mascaras are meant to do that, but this, I would say, is one of the easiest to remove tubing mascaras I've tried. If I've just said all of that and you don't know what I'm talking about, I've done a Reels video previously all about tubing mascaras and how they coat your lashes in rubbery polymers rather than like tinting them with colour. And essentially it means that they remove easily with water, but also They're really good news for you if you find that your mascara prints up here or under here. Tubing mascara can often be the solution to that problem. Okay, lashes. The very first thing I would always say to you, that is a really long lash that's much longer than my lash line. And if I put it on as it is, it's going to drop down, which pulls the appearance of the eye down and just looks a bit silly. So first of all, I'm going to cut a little bit off from this outer corner. Next, you're going to go in with your lash glue. Now, I love the Doll Beauty glue. That's my favourite. Duo glue is fantastic. The Swede Lashes glue is fantastic. I know that Duo also do a latex-free. So if you are allergic to latex, you have that option. Nice thin layer. And I'm going to leave that to go tacky for about 30 seconds. If you go in any sooner than that, you're just making a rod for your own back because it won't be sticky enough and the lashes are going to slide around rather than when they're tacky, they will just plonk on and that's the end of that. Okay, now I'm going to look down into my mirror and just place them onto that black line as close to the lashes as I can. Now, that wasn't so hard, was it? Let's do the other ones. And there we go. Now, what you will notice is that even though the band has like a translucent kind of trim, it's still a little bit noticeable. So you may wish to go over those joins with a black liquid liner. I think if you were to go in with a pencil, that's quite stubborn and that will tickle the glue off, whereas a liquid will just lie on top of that glue and it won't disrupt the lash that you've just stuck on. Okay, while they're drying, I'm going to go in with a bit of Pillow Talk lip liner. As always, drawn myself on a whole new set of lips. I'm going to go in with Sweet and Vicious from the Cruella collection. Are we all thinking the same thing? That's the nicest thing from the collection. Absolutely love that. And then finishing touches, I always forget these things by the time I've got to the end of the video. I'm really proud of myself for remembering this. Brow wax. I'm going to take this over the top of the brows and then I'm going to use the wand at the end of my brow power. So back to the place where it all began. Now I'm just tracing that lash line with the Doll Beauty liquid liner. I know it's subtle, but there's a difference. Do you see how that is jet black? And this one, you've got these little dots. It's the smallest things sometimes that just take your makeup to look completely polished. And there we go, all done. Can I just say, I do think that MAC Cruella collection is one of the best limited edition MAC collections I've seen in years. To be honest, I mostly tend to love like the old faithfuls from MAC. The things I use the most are things I've been using for a really long time. And it's very rare that I'd prefer a limited collection over like the core things that have been there for years. But I mean, that is just like absolutely beautiful, isn't it? Where are the brushes again? I think the brushes are probably my favourite bit. But I love that and it wore really beautifully. So absolute triumph. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And as always, if there's anything you want to see in a video, please feel free to let me know here in the comments. Have a lovely day and I'll chat to you again very soon.